From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Hello. It's good to see you. You look so good today. Have you been told that? You really look good today. I know you don't think you do, but you really do. And I want to be the first one to tell you that. My name is Sven Erlandson. I am the host of the Badass Counseling Show. You have reached a live taping of our lightning round. And whether you are checking in from the suburbs of Chicago or from the greater Los Angeles area or way over in Norway, New Jersey, North Carolina, South Dakota, Belize, Belgium, or Atlanta area, we love having you here with us. We really do. I am joined in studio by my team, KC, right over there in the booth, looking lovely as always, barking orders and always laughing. And Rob the Rocket right next to me, always with a good word. He's just getting over a cold that he's had.
Yeah.
Rob, give me a musical something today.
A musical something.
Yes, an idea, a thought, an earworm that you have had, a musical memory. What have you and your girlfriend been listening to lately?
Well, a lot of Paul Simon quotes, actually. And the one that comes up in Old Friends on the Bookends album is how terribly strange to be 70. But we decided it's not so strange after all.
Huh. Does he offer insight as to the oddest thing about being 70?
No, just makes the observation, and it's great to have old friends sitting on a park bench like Bookends, and it's very comforting.
Beautiful. Love that. Well, for what it's worth, I'm actually going to a Mozart concert tonight. So,
how sophisticated and cultured you are, sir.
I don't know about that, but maybe Paul Simon will be playing Mozart. I'm betting against it, but he had a classical phase. He actually composed some, I want to say a symphony or two. He actually did. I want to say it was the 90s when I think it was after Graceland, and where he was really doing a lot of that. And I think Sting did too. Some of these artists who just let themselves go way outside their sort of genres that they were associated with.
McCartney also.
Did he?
Did a whole symphony.
It's so remarkable because it's a whole different language, you know. It's just like me as a writer, being in nonfiction is easy for me. But if I had to go into like screenwriting or even poetry or something, it's just, I have so much respect for screenwriters.
I don't understand how you can be good at the guitar and then immediately just go over to a piano and be able to play it.
Yeah.
That is beyond my comprehension.
Well, let alone be good at a guitar and sing and play guitar at the same time, you know, and then have the harmonica if you're Dylan, you know, going and I don't know. Making music is just that is the ultimate gift from the gods, if you ask me. That and the beauty of a woman, but those are my own personal biases.
Yo.
All right. I have neither of those, by the way. I'm sure you didn't need me to tell you I don't have the beauty of a woman. Anyway, so let's get this show started. I am here to take your questions. We are starting a lightning round episode. Here we go. First question of the day. Merciless Mama on TikTok says, what do I do to help my boyfriend open up more? Some very simple tools. First of all, a lot of people just aren't used to opening up. And by opening up, you mean talking more, sharing his feelings and so on and so forth. But I'm betting deeper conversation, more him sharing how he's really feeling, what he's really thinking, other than, I'm guessing, anger. He probably does anger well, if that. What you can do is you can say, listen, you know, I want you to know I'm here for you and I'm open to listening. But the other thing is, and I'm not saying you're doing this, all right, Merciless Mama, I'm not saying you're doing this, but if you're with someone and you're wanting them to open up more, shut up. Stop talking. Stop always talking. Allow for silence. Furthermore, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but sometimes people can't open up because there's no room. Furthermore, if you're wanting someone to open up, when they open up, don't see everything they say as an opportunity for you to talk. Very often, we think that when someone is talking, we want to bond with them. So I'm going to share something about me so that we can bond. But very often, that person perceives it as, you're not even listening to me. You're just using it as an opportunity for you to talk about you. So what I find the very best thing for getting someone to open up is ask them a question and wait and wait for an answer. Don't then look at your phone or look around the room. Just wait for an answer and let them answer. And then when they've answered, ask them a follow-up question based on what they've just said. Show genuine curiosity. Ask, if you genuinely want someone to open up, ask more questions. Speak in questions far more than you speak in statements. That's one of the greatest gifts I got from my mother. She said, Sven, she taught to speak in questions rather than statements. And you know what? And that was reinforced by the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. He doesn't say it that way, but basically, if you want to have a lot of friends, talk in questions, not in statements. But everybody wants to go around being a know-it-all, wanting attention, wanting everyone to hear their opinions. And that's how you turn people away. So if you want him to open up, just start to ask questions and start listening and let him know that when he's ready to open up, you're here to listen. And don't judge him for it. And definitely don't throw his shit back at him when you're in your next fight. All right, next question. Yo-Yo Wizard says, can a marriage transform into an open relationship successfully, perhaps polyamorous, so that there are no regrets at 80? Can a marriage transform into an open relationship successfully and perhaps be polyamorous so that there are no regrets at 80? Can it? Sure. Is it easy? No fucking way. No. It is absolutely not easy by any definition of easy, moderately easy, or even not even remotely easy. It'll be one of the single hardest things you do. But can it be done? Sure. What does it require? The most fucking honest, open conversation, the willingness to get your feelings hurt, the willingness to hurt your other feelings, your partner's feelings by telling your truth. And it requires, God, if it were ever required, I have a dear friend who is a therapist for very, very, very high profile clients like myself. And his belief is, Sven, when people are talking, if I've got a client, Sven, talking about their sexuality, I know I have their complete trust. I have a different view on that. I don't think sexuality is the most intimate thing for a person to talk about, but for him it is, and that's all right. But when people are talking about their sexuality, you are in their most intimate world, or it's certainly down in the real shit. If you ever need to be tender with your words, with your affect, and tread gently, take off your shoes. This is sacred ground. If I can quote Hebrew scripture, it's this. You want to fucking transition a normal marriage, a monogamous marriage into a polyamorous one, you better not only be fully open, but you got to be gentle. Speak the truth in love, and a whole lot of love and a whole lot of treading gently. So it's still speaking the truth, but being kind and being understanding of the other person. If you're going to do this, what I would first recommend you guys do is take a class on communication. Literally take a class on communication, on open communication, on conversation, on how to share, on gentle conversation, truthful conversation, just so you can learn the basics of talking. Don't just dive right in. Hey, I want to fuck chicks, man. And I want us to talk about me fucking more, okay? And maybe you can fuck too, but don't. Just bad idea. Bad idea. Remember that sketch from Saturday Night Live, Rob? That was back in the Phil Hartman days. It was for a brand of jeans called Bad Idea. And so they have, one of the sketches is of a bunch of guys up in some stands, like football stands. You know, it's like guys, like the greaser type of guys, and they're standing around. But it's, you know, it's set in the 90s. And one of the guys says to the other guys, you know, and it's for this brand name jeans. And one of the guys says to the rest of the guys, he says, yeah, my buddy says he's not freebasing cocaine anymore, so I thought I'd let him stay in my apartment. And then the brand name jean says, bad idea.
Bad idea. That's right.
All right.
I don't get it personally. I mean, if you want to be a player, be a player. If you've dedicated yourself to another individual, I don't get it.
Well, and that's just it. You are fundamentally changing a contract. You are asking someone to change a contract that you have had in place in this marriage. So you've got to come with a reason for why they would want to change a contract and why you want to change a contract. And they may not want to change the contract. So what you've really got to ask yourself, if you're really having any measure of integrity, is, am I trying to coerce them into changing a contract that they don't want to change? Then, and if you're trying to coerce someone to change a contract, then you're being a dick.
What are the odds that both people want this?
Well, yeah. I mean, come on. First of all, polyamorous relationships are a small percentage of the population. I have nothing against polyamorous. I have polyamorous clients. I literally had 2-3 of them just this week. All right. So it's not a big deal. You know, in terms of me, I have no moral qualms about it. That's not the point. The point is making a transition from a monogamous to a non-monogamous or to a polyamorous relationship. You're wanting to change a contract that's been in place for a while, and that is no small thing. Ask anybody who's in business. Oh yeah, I want to change the contract where I'm getting more of the profits in this business relationship. Oh yeah, fucking good luck with that one. I'm not saying it can't be done, but you've got to be fully open and honest and transparent and not try to strong arm this person, because that is not cool to try to strong arm someone that you claim to love. That's fucking bullshit, and I will not tolerate that. That is morally wrong. Next question. Here we go. This is from Wait in the Boat on TikTok. Hi, Sven. Could I ask the best way to stay open as a mom who believes her daughter married a narcissist? Yes, you can ask. And my answer, I guess, is the best way to stay open is to flush out all of the feelings that are causing you to shut down. Nothing will corrupt our decision-making. Nothing will corrupt our coming in a spirit of loving kindness more than our own feelings of hatred and anger and distrust and rage and fear. Let's be honest. What's really going on here, Wait in the Boat, is that you fear for your daughter. So what you need to be doing is you need to be journaling the hell out of, I'm so afraid of this man hurting my wife or my daughter. I see her going down this road and I see parts of it in myself. And then the guilt, maybe you feel you didn't teach her well enough and gosh, I should have this and I want to say this and so on and so forth. But it's all your feelings. It's when we get so swollen and pregnant with our own feelings of fear and anger and sadness and rage and all of that. You need to be constantly flushing out that. Otherwise, you're going to come in and you're going to be closed up more in situations with her husband and with her. The bottom line is she's choosing to be with him. Now, you can have a conversation with her, all right? You and she have a relationship, and presumably you have trust. You can have an open and honest conversation with her, and then you need to drop it because it's not your relationship. This is her choice. But you have every right to have a relationship, and she will actually listen more. What I have found as my children have aged, what I found even with my own mother, and my mother learned it after having 6 kids, and I'm the youngest. And she said, Sven, if you want to discuss anything, I'm here, and I'm happy to listen and discuss anything, but I'm not going to, crawl down your throat or ask you a lot of questions or whatever. And what I have told my girlfriend and what I tell people in my life is you are far more likely to make the sale with me with a soft sell than with a hard sell. I'm with a woman who built a massively successful company in Manhattan. At one time had 4 personal assistants in her business as well as an administrative assistant. All right. And used to just the hard sell, ramming it down the throat. And I said, woman, you are not going to, that is not effective with me. You are more likely, I am having basically 5 older brothers. I am far more likely to push back and than to accept when you try to force it with me. But if you use the soft sell, and so what I'm saying to Wait in the Boat is you are far more likely to get the sale with your daughter when you say, listen, these are my thoughts. Here's why. Please know that I love you. I support you. You make good decisions. And that is gold. When you've got a child moving into teenage years, they're going to make a million mistakes. But one of the things you want to keep coming back to are the specific words. You make good decisions, even when they make mistakes. Even when they make mistakes. How can we learn from this and so forth? But always coming back to that idea, reminding them that overall, you make good decisions. And even in this, you make good decisions. And don't say it manipulatively, you'll make the right decision, like you'll leave him. No, just say, I support you, I believe in you, and this is your decision, and I respect it, and I am here for you and for your husband. And then you need to follow through on that, because in the end, it's not your fucking life. And so what you also need to be doing is grieving, the letting go of your daughter, because this is not your life. It's her life now. And you need to go through that grieving process. You got a lot of fucking journaling and a lot of emotions that have to come out of you. Next question.
So important and so hard to do.
It is. Oh gosh, it is, but necessary.
I got our old friend Purna Kamala here, who has a memory that she is struggling with.
Go for it.
Says, I was 6 years old. My mom is washing clothes in the sink. I ask her, why did you have me? And she replies, you are an idiot. Is that normal and loving?
No, that's the farthest from normal and the furthest from loving. It's hurtful. The child was wanting a loving response. The child was wanting support. The child was wanting kindness. I had you because I wanted to know this beautiful person that you are. The child was wanting the mother to stop the wash and say, oh, my sweet darling, come here. Why did I have you? Because I wanted to experience the greatest joy of my life. Why did I have you? So that I got to look into your beautiful face every day. That's why I had you. You're a silly one. I'm so blessed. Why did I have you? Because I wanted to make the best decision that I would be the most proud of for the rest of my life. That's what the child wanted to hear. They wanted an expression of love. What do children want? Children want love, folks. It's a simple equation. And not only do children want love, adults want love. And so a lot of times, folks, when people are asking you a question, they're not asking the question. They may be asking for the truth, but they're not asking for the truth. What they're wanting is just a kind word. Why don't you remember that this week? Why don't I remember that this week? That's good for me to remember too. All right, next question. Rebecca Quijada says on Facebook, forgive me if I mispronounce the name, my daughter recently married an extreme taker. They uninvited me to the wedding, then told me they missed me at the wedding. And he wanted me to ask my daughter how her day was. You don't offer a question, Rebecca, but that sounds like some supreme fuckery right there. If I can give you one piece of advice, Rebecca, I would say for the time being, play your cards close to the vest. Keep it on a short leash. Do not get wrapped up in those reindeer games there. In other words, just be firm. Be firm. And you potentially are going to be jerked from pillar to post if you don't. All right, next question.
Sven, on YouTube, Sandy says, is there such a thing as being too kind? I believe if I make one person smile today, it's worth it. My friends say I'm too nice.
Is it possible to be too kind? Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. In the end, your life is up to you. But I use two phrases. You may be new here, but I use two phrases. My regular listeners and followers are familiar with the two phrases I use. Most people use the phrase extreme taker. Or excuse me, narcissist. I use the term extreme taker because narcissist is just one of those psychological terms. It just gets like, it loses its meaning. It means a million different things. But also for folks who, like you say, are too nice, I use the term extreme giver. I used to be one. Through 2 marriages, I was an extreme giver. You give, thinking that if I don't give, they may not love me, that I have to give in order to be worthy of love. And so it's very possible. One of the things that you would be wise to do in your journaling is to begin to dive into the question of, am I driven by fear? How much fear is there in me? I'm not saying you don't love to give. I love to give. It's not whether or not you enjoy giving, but you've got to begin to ask yourself the question of how much fear, how much am I afraid that if I don't give, that people won't like me? See, now we're getting down into the root of it. Are you likable for who you are, or are you likable because you give? Well, I give. That's part of who I am. Yes, but I think you know what I mean. And so now we're getting down to whether or not the giving is this sort of neurotic behavior that I have to do in order for someone to really appreciate me. All right, now we're getting down into this idea of an extreme giver. And this is, while I don't use the exact term in the book, this is why I tell people to read the book. There's a hole in my love cup. You can get it at badasscounseling.com. All right, much more to come right after this short break.
I had a really good start in my life, and I've been successful in my career, but I have to say I've learned so much and improved my outlook on life since I met Sven and picked up a copy of Badass Wisdom. With the daily meditations as journaling prompts, I've uncovered a lot of memories that weren't totally pleasant. With Sven's guidance, I've achieved some new understanding, and honestly, I feel lighter. Badass Wisdom is a great read in nice small bites, and I think anyone can benefit from it. So go to badasscounseling.com and get the book or the audiobook. It could change your life.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
Oh yeah, we're rocking today. Here we go. We've got a question here on TikTok from Phil. Hey, Phil. When is it okay to cut ties because your children blame you for everything, even after healing? Well, first of all, I would ask the question, even after who's healing? Theirs or yours? If they're claiming that they are healed and they have cut ties, that may very well be true. But then it raised the question, why, if they're healed, why are they inflicting damage if they're healed? Once we're healed, we're not inflicting damage. Now, holding someone accountable or having boundaries isn't the same as blaming. And if they're blaming, that says, if I'm having to blame someone, it says that person has not taken accountability yet. In the legal system, we indict someone so that they will take accountability and there will be a prison sentence or what have you. So no doubt the blaming of you, Phil, is because they believe, whether or not it's true, I don't know, they believe you haven't taken accountability for what they believe you have done. But that's not the question you're asking. When is it okay to cut ties because your children blame you for everything, even after you're healing? Even after healing. It's okay to cut ties any damn time you want, Phil. They're your kids. It's your relationship. It's like a relationship with a lover. If you don't like your lover, you can cut ties anytime you want. There are no rules. Question is, why haven't you already? Now, maybe you feel a sense of obligation to your kids, or maybe you're still wanting something from your kids. Maybe you're mad at them, want them to change, want them to give you something, and I'm betting you do. I'm betting it hurts to have them blaming you. Because in a way, they're exercising power over you. They're putting you sort of in the hot seat and keeping you there, and you don't like it. And you're wanting them to either go back to or go to a place of thanking you or being grateful or being nice to you, and they're not doing it. So fundamentally, the image I have in my head is that you're holding on to their lapel of their jacket, and they keep punching you in the face. And you're wanting them to stop punching you in the face. And you're saying, when is it okay to let go of their lapel on? And I'm saying, why didn't you let go yesterday? Well, because I want them to be nice to me. And I'm going to be very honest with you, Phil. I'm going to give you a challenge. And before you let go, you can let go today. I don't care. It's your life. You live it however you want. I'm going to challenge you to go back Christmas of 2023. All right. It was either the 24th or the 25th of December, 2023. I posted a video and it's easiest to find it on TikTok or on Instagram just because they're all thumbnails there. It's easier to scroll. Go back to Christmas of 2023. And I'm sitting, I did a video and I'm sitting outside in a bomber jacket. There's snow around. And it's titled something like 7 Things You Can Do to Help Your Adult Children Heal. Go back and watch that video. And if you feel like doing those 7 exercises in there, do them. And if you don't. But the bottom line is you have far more power in this situation than you realize. And it's not the power to reestablish a relationship. You have the power to help them heal. Let me ask you this question, Phil. If you had a choice between helping your child become fully healed of everything that you've done to hurt them, but you don't get a relationship with them. So you could heal them of everything you've done to hurt them, but you don't get a relationship with them. Or you could have a relationship with them, but they won't be healed of everything you've done to hurt them. Which would you choose? That's the question you've got to answer for yourself. Because the bottom line is that as a parent, our goal has got to be to help our children heal of all of the pain we've caused. Now, I may think I have owned everything, but that doesn't mean I have owned everything. I may think I've acknowledged, I may think I've said I'm sorry, but that does not necessarily mean that I've actually acknowledged everything that I've done to hurt them. And that requires a willingness to have a conversation. That requires a willingness to have a conversation with my own self and to really go into how I have hurt people and how I do hurt people, and a willingness to have a conversation. And maybe you've already done all this, Phil. So I'm as much saying it for other people as to you. Maybe you've already done this, so I apologize if you have. But it's a willingness to really look at myself and say, how else could I have hurt them? How else might I have hurt them? How might I still be hurting them? One of the questions I regularly ask clients, I just asked this of a client yesterday and the day before, a different client. But we talk about how their mother or their father, or whoever raised them, how they hurt them, and we talk about all those ways. And then I'll ask the question, does your mother believe that she was a good parent? And the one yesterday said, oh, yeah, 100%. She thinks she was a great parent. And I said, but you just listed all these things that you say made her in many ways a bad parent. And she said, yeah. And I said, which tans your hide more? Which upsets you more? Which angers you more? that she was in so many ways a bad parent, or that she actually thinks she's a good parent? And everybody answers that question differently. This woman yesterday happened to say, well, the fact that she actually thinks she's a good parent. I said, why is that? She said, because it denies my reality. It doesn't acknowledge my reality. Her claiming she's such a great parent and barely did anything wrong denies my reality. I said, so then let me ask you this. Which hurts you more, the fact that she did all these things to you, or that she has made very little effort at atonement? Well, she did apologize a little bit. I said, was it a true ownership and a true acknowledgement of everything and a true apology, or was it a $5 apology for a $5,000 crime? She said it was a $5 apology. I said, exactly. I said, so which is worse for you? And she said, the fact that she's not attempted to atone at all, really. And I said, and why is that worse? She said, again, because she's not acknowledging the reality that I experienced. She's trying to protect herself at the expense of me, which is utterly a selfish act. So she is once again negating me and my existence. All right, next question. That was a good one, Phil. Thanks for that question. Okay. Stella5 on TikTok asks, no contact with toxic parents 1 year ago. How do I know if they have changed to reconcile? Stella, if someone has changed to reconcile, to be completely honest with you, the mere fact you're asking that question says you want them back. You wouldn't even be asking that unless you wanted that. You're longing for them to reconcile, which tells me that your cutting it off was more of a shot across the bow than it was a permanent severing of the relationship. It was a warning shot. It was, hey, will you get your shit together? Will you please look at your shit? Otherwise, you wouldn't give a shit whether or not they've changed in order to reconcile. You're wanting that reconciliation, which means you still want something from them. You're still wanting them to acknowledge the pain they've caused you. You're still wanting them to give you something. You're still wanting love from them. What you're ultimately wanting is confirmation of your worth, because then you can feel validated as your authentic self. Then you can begin to live your real self. Then you can become happy. Then you can have peace inside of you. You are still wanting something from them, and they are not giving it. And so when you cut them off, it was a shot across the bow, to use naval war terms. It was a warning shot. It wasn't even that. It was a manipulation. I'm going to hurt you so that you will do what I want. And what I want you to do is acknowledge how you have hurt me and finally admit what you've done, and therefore confirm that I exist, confirm that my story matters, confirm that I matters. By doing that, you will finally, for the first time in my life, give me back my worth, which you stole from me when I was a child. Now, you haven't gone through that whole thought process, but that's exactly what's going on here. And what's disturbing the most is that they aren't doing that. And so you are still not getting your worth confirmed. And your worth will fully be confirmed when you walk away. Realize you never get it, and confirm your own worth and begin to live your life for you. But to answer your question, how will you know if they have changed and in order to reconcile? Because they will come to you humble. They will come to you, and it will sound something like this. Stella, it'll sound like this. Fuck, Stella, I am so sorry. There is no excuse. We've sat on everything that you've said, and we've thought about all of it. And I've written out this letter, Stella, and you don't have to read it. And I've listed everything here, and I'd like to say it to you in person, but I'm going to put it in a letter in case you don't. Or maybe they say, I'd prefer to put it in a letter here, but if you want it in person, I'll give it to you in person. And I've listed out every single thing I can possibly think of that must have hurt you, that I did or didn't do. Every single thing. And I've also listed out what I should have done. And I've also listed out how it likely made you feel. And I've also listed out how just sad I am and ashamed I am that I made you feel this. And I'm open to hearing the things that I missed, and I'm open to feeling the weight of those. And I'm so sorry. And if you choose to never have a relationship with me again, I would completely understand, Stella. And if you chose to never forgive, I would completely understand. I'm not even asking for forgiveness. I'm simply saying that what I have done is reprehensible, and there is no excuse, and I am sorry. And I want you to know that. You are worth far more than how I have treated you. True change sounds something like that. And they would come to you, and they would come in humility. But the mere fact they haven't come to you at all says they haven't changed. That's how you know But the real problem is you're still wanting something from them. That's the problem. You still believe that they hold the golden key that unlocks you from the jail cell that you have been in, that they have put you in, because they taught you way back then that you don't have worth. And you believe they are the only ones that can give you that sense of worth back. But you have to give it to yourself by getting their messages out of you, which is precisely why I wrote the book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. The problem isn't that they aren't giving you the confirmation of worth that you want. The problem is that those messages are in you to begin with. And you can get those out and you can actually get them out quickly. But the problem is the negative messaging inside of you. There's a hole in my love cup. Rob, give me that question.
All right, Sven, on YouTube, Kathy, another question about people changing.
Yeah.
Kathy asks, is it possible for a person to change when the past 17 years of our marriage, his favorite phrase was, when I have time and when I get money? All I want is to be part of his life, but he never follows through.
Is it possible for him to change? Well, the mere fact that he says, when I have time and I have money, he's acknowledging it's possible. I just don't have the time and money right now. He already says it's possible. You're not, but that's not the question you're really asking. You're not asking if it's possible. Everybody can change. What you're asking is he ever going to change? And the truth is, he doesn't give two fucks about changing for you. It has nothing to do with time and money. That's bullshit. Does he ever spend time watching TV? Does he ever spend time working on his car? Oh, he has time. Does he ever spend time with friends? Does he ever spend time having beers with his, brothers? Oh, he has time. What do you know? It's just bullshit. He just doesn't want to change. And you want to know why? 17 years? And you want to know why he doesn't change? Because he doesn't have to. I'm not trying to be a dick, but you're enabling him. I just put up a post this morning. What do mooches and bullies have in common? You might want to look at that post. It's like a minute and a half. But no, he doesn't have to change. You are staying with someone who treats you like shit. And I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to blame the victim, but you're allowing it. He doesn't have to change. But guess what? Here's the real shitter of it. If you actually do the work to begin to heal you and you get stronger, and if you were to reach the point where you're actually ready to walk away, he'll straighten up and fly right. All of a sudden, he'll have found fucking Jesus. Oh my God, I've changed. And I'm going to go to therapy and I'm reading the book and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Oh, I've changed. Now, fuck you. Oh, now? Now. So you listened, all the things I said, you were listening the whole time, but you didn't give a shit then. But now you give a shit? No, he's jerking you around because he can. I'm not trying to be a dick, but you're letting him get away with this. You got it. At some point, you got to matter enough to you to stand up for you and walk away from someone, or stand up and not back down. You basically have three options. One, keep eating shit the way you are. Two, stand up every single time and don't back down and demand better treatment, knowing it's going to be conflict every single fucking time. Right? Or three, walk away. Because the odds that this guy's going to change, he won't change until you actually find your strength to begin to walk away. And then he'll change, but he'll only change long enough to get you back under his thumb, get his boot back on your throat. All right, next question. C2 Mama says, how about younger generations, 20 and 30 and younger, twisting narratives, but the majority of people see differently? I'm going to assume that is based on this whole idea of cutting off parents. It's been my experience in counseling that the most people cutting off parents are actually in their 30s and 40s, first of all. Second of all, I have come to realize that if I'm being really, really honest, and you may not be talking about that, C2 Mama, and so if you're not talking about that, well, I apologize that I didn't know if you were talking about that. You're probably talking about something else. Like why so many people still bet on the Packers. Packers suck! Anyway. Twisting narratives. The bottom line is that if Rob and I have an argument, or if you have an argument with your, husband or boyfriend, you're going to have one side of the story and he's going to have another side of the story, right? And that sometimes in life we hurt someone's feelings and we don't know that we hurt their feelings. Okay. And so the bottom line is it's been my experience that more often than not, the problem and this is the really ugly thing, and I don't make a lot of friends with parents when I say this, but the bottom line is when the child is growing up, for those first 20 years, the parent has all the power, 100% of the power, or damn near 100% of the power. And in any relationship, if it's a work relationship, if it's a government, if it's a parent-child relationship, if anybody has that much power, they have infinitely more responsibility. And they have infinitely more pressure to tread gently. Furthermore, they have infinitely greater responsibility to apologize. And the entire power dynamic is being driven by the parent, all of it. So any problems or tantrums or anything else that the child is doing is in response to what the power structure and the power person or persons are doing. So I guess what I'm getting at is we are crafting a narrative. So many people craft the narrative that the child is the problem. These children are the problem. These young adults, these 20s, these 30s, these 40-year-olds are the problem. They're not the fucking problem. It's the messaging implanted by parents when those children are 4, 11, 14, 19, 21, and it still perpetuates. Finding a parent who is actually willing to truly reflect on their own behavior, that's gold, because there are so many who won't. And I have children who are 34 and 30. All right, so I'm not some youngster, okay? And I had to own my shit. And it's not easy. And the more you invest yourself in anything, whether it's your body and your workouts or your work, and you put in all that time and energy, or your own children, the more you invest your time, your energy, your resources into anything, that particular thing, that entity becomes a greater part of your identity. And so if you got a lot of yourself invested in your kids, then your identity is, I'm a good mom, I'm a good dad. And then the kid comes along and says, well, what about this, and this? You fucked up on a lot of shit. You hurt me. You caused these problems. It's like, no. See, so finding a self-reflective parent is a gem. And a lot of parents don't want to do it because it means deconstructing their identity. And the truth is, a lot of good parents make radically, profoundly bad mistakes that can have long-term negative ramifications, but they don't want to admit it. And the great parents are the ones that do, because then you can have a real relationship with your adult child. But guess what? When you have all the power, it's just so much easier to blame the adult child. Blame the child, of course, because you still have the power. Except you don't. See, the child has one great power once they get into their 20s, 30s, 40s. I've done some videos on this and they've been highly controversial, but they have one great power, and eventually they have more than one, but the one great power they have is the exact same power that my Rhodesian Ridgeback has. I have a Rhodesian Ridgeback that is almost 100 pounds. Now, I'm 250, 255 this morning because I had too much pasta last night. Yeah, must have been a lot, 5 pounds worth. No, but anyway, my Rhodesian Ridgebacks are known for a couple of things. One, they're just brilliantly beautiful animals, but they hate water and they are stubborn. So if my girlfriend or her daughters or anybody small takes that dog for a walk, especially like in Manhattan, we're based in the New York City area, or in the city, that dog invariably, when it is in the middle of an intersection, it will stop. Invariably. It's like it knows, I'm going to be a dick. And it will stop. Now I'm 250. I'll just pick that fucker up and I'll walk him over to the curb and I'll say, hey, mister, you're being a dick. And he'll be like, yeah, I know. But if it's one of the girls, he's just like, fuck you. And he has the power to stop. That's what that 25-year-old has. You've been pressuring me my whole life. You have been putting all your expectations in me. You've been using me to get your own needs for affection or being liked, or using me to make you proud or not disappoint you or just look pretty or whatever. You've been using me. And it's been about your ego and your expectations, what you want me to do with my life. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop. Fuck you. I'm sick of you driving the agenda of my life. I'm going to stop. Just like Sven's Rhodesian Ridgeback. Good luck. How's your ego doing now, Mom? A year later. How's your ego doing now, Dad? A year later. And then it's this big power tussle. But in the end, if something wants to stop, you can't make it go. You can throw it out of the house if you want. And the kid is like, fine. And you know what I have heard over time with therapists? I had a client say this recently, that when I was 15, I knew that the only way that my parents just thought so little of who I was and what I wanted to be, they just wanted me to be who I wanted to be. So I just cashed in. I stopped carrying school, or I started hanging out with, the kids who were drinking at midday. Or I've had other ones who have said, I knew the only way that I could hurt them anywhere near the degree that they had hurt me, or the only way I could get back at them for everything that they had done, or the only way I could get them to see me was the ultimate. You know what I'm talking about. Ending it. Right. So that's a power. It's a power that they are finally finding their power. And as we age as parents, now I'm going to be in my 60th year next year. And as we age, what do we want? What's one of the things we want more than anything? Well, our friends start to fade away, move away, family starts to die a bit. And what do we want? We want more time with our kids often. We don't necessarily want them living under our roof all the time, but we want more time with our kids. We want that friend close relationship with our kids. The kids have one thing that we want. What's that? Them. So they have the power to distance themselves from us. Furthermore, they have another power over us. What's that? They have the truth. And the truth of their side of the story of how they were raised. We don't want that out. Why? Because that makes us look bad. That makes us feel bad that I wasn't the perfect parent that I always thought Sven was. I thought Sven was this perfect parent or a great parent. Well, maybe I was still a great parent, but I made profound mistakes that caused a lot of pain to my two kids. And I got to own that. And the truth is, this 34-year-old is under no obligation to have a relationship with me. None. I've got to earn that. And the way we earn any sort of relationship is by being a responsible fucking human being. So I got to own it. So the other power that they have is to disgorge the family truths. One of those is what kind of father Sven really was, or what kind of mother so-and-so really was. Right. So they have powers. And then the sucky part about it is then if they have kids, and if you haven't changed, if you know, let's just say Sven is still a selfish dickhead or whatever Sven might have been, why would I want you around my kids if you're still going to be that way? Now I don't get to be around my grandkids. Yeah. So there's that. So the power imbalance, it went from they had 100% of the power to now, or you, the parent, the parent had 100% of the power when you grew up. You are fundamentally God. You are all powerful for their 20 years for all intents and purposes, or most intents and purposes. And now the power shifts. They have what we want. We want them to motivate to make us look good. We want them to spend time with us or to be nice to us. We want to see the grandkids. All these things. We want them to keep quiet about all the things we did wrong. We want them to gratify our ego. All these things we want. And they're like, nah, I'm going to be a Rhodesian Ridgeback. All right.
Sven, along those lines, Jeremy on YouTube says, when an adult child and parent go mutual no contact after a falling out, is it the parent's job to reach out to repair the relationship if they ever want one again? And Soul Search says, I got the same question. Is it the parent's job to reach out to repair the relationship if they ever want one again?
It's whoever wants to repair the relationship. It's their job. If you want to repair the relationship, reach out to the other person and then watch how they respond. I mean, generally what I say, yeah, it's the parent's responsibility. Yeah. But also if you're the kid, the adult kid, and you want to repair the relationship, reach out and keep reaching out until you realize the parent doesn't want to fix the breach. The mere fact that the parent isn't reaching out, there is your answer. And it sucks. Here's a critique of my last answer. Luca, the Pingu on TikTok says, please don't name ending it all as a viable option to stick it to the parents. I'm not naming it as a viable option. I am simply naming, and goes on to say that's not okay. I'm not saying it's a viable option. I'm simply saying this is what I see in counseling. People saying that they had this thought when they were younger. Whether you like that people have said this and gone through this in their past or not, whether I like it or not, it has happened. I'm reporting what I see in counseling is what it is. All right. Next question. Georgia Byers. Rob, I want you to listen in on this one.
Okay.
Because I think you can offer insight that from a perspective that I cannot. Okay, I'm gonna weigh in on it, but I think you will offer a lived perspective. Georgia Byers on TikTok says, 1 year post-cancer treatment. My scans are clear, gratefully, but I can't seem to find myself again. Now, I'm going to weigh in by saying you just had a life-altering experience. Okay? And that comes, any life-altering experience of any sort comes with a traumatic experience, okay? That comes with massive emotion, massive. Whether you want that fucking emotion or not, it's in you, all right? You are loaded in every cell of your body, in your heart, your guts, your viscera, your brain, everything, your feet, your toes, your toenails. Everything is loaded with feelings. You want to find yourself again? It ain't out there, it's in here. And you got to be you got to flush. You got so much emotion in you. And I've got plenty of cancer clients, all right? And terminal illness clients and so forth. And you got to be flushing out all the pain, all the fears, all the rage, all the sadness, all the grief, flushing it all out, journaling. You need to be journaling your fucking ass off. You need to write a letter to your cancer. You write a letter to your doctors and your nurses. Write a letter to the disease itself. Write a letter to your past self, who you were a year before you got diagnosed. You need to be journaling about all of it, flushing out all the emotion. Why? Because when you say, I can't seem to find myself, your self never left you. Your self is still inside of you. It's underneath all of that crud. And you get all that crud and out, and you'll start to feel more like yourself. I guarantee it. Rob, thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's a new reality when you've been through that. My scans are pretty clear too. And I saw my urologist after my treatment, and I said, let's talk about my cancer. And he said, what cancer? And that was a wonderful thing for him to say. But the fact of the matter is, every 6 months, I have to have a follow-up and make sure that it's still not there. And so you simply have to deal with the new reality. How am I doing today? How is today looking in general? What can I do to feel the absolute best I can today? Not let it rule your life. That's really big. And I'm doing a reasonably good job of that, but it's a bit of a challenge sometimes.
There's the word from a man who got his cancer diagnosis a year ago, and just over a year ago, and went through it all. And so there is hope, and you are 1 year post-cancer treatment. You are in the exact same spot as Rob, and there is life. You got to flush all that stuff out of you. So it's I'm glad you were here to answer on that, Rob. That's great insight. All right, here's one. This is from Heather Rosinski, regular follower of the show. Everything I bring up with my mother either, quote, didn't happen, or she, quote, doesn't remember it like that. Funny how my siblings remember it the same way I do. Yeah, sort of makes the point. Okay, here we go. And this is one that echoes some things we've talked about already. Well, first of all, someone says, are you taking questions? Yes, that's what we're doing right now. Yeah. Renee Garcia over on TikTok asks a question. How do you dig up your true self when you have been beaten up by life since childhood? Renee, the very simple answer is this, that when you've been beaten up by life since childhood, that beating up is all the pains, all the criticisms, all the put downs, all the shit you've been told about. You're a piece of crap. You're a loser. You're a dirty whore, just like your mother. You're a loser, just like your old man, or you'll never amount to anything. You're stupid. You're too fat. You're too skinny. You're too tall. You're too short. You're ugly. You're no good. All those messages get packed inside you. You've been eating that shit your whole life, right? And then we meet people in adult life who pack in more and more and more, right? In whatever ways you've been beaten up, right? And the thing is, we start to believe that shit, especially when we're children. If we're told it, especially by parents, and it's not always explicit messages. Sometimes it's the underlying messages, all right? And those messages get inside of us. And you're like, well, how do I find my true self when I've been beaten up since childhood? Great. That's exactly the right question. Your authentic self is down there. It's been down inside of you, deep inside of you the whole time. But all these other messages get packed in on top of it, rammed down your throat, and they have to come out. And you're saying, well, how? The simple answer, if you just want the very simple answer, like literally one sentence, I literally wrote a book to step you through the exact process. It's an international bestseller in the field of healing your inner child. It was 64 weeks. It was the top 10 bestseller. All right. There's a hole in my love cup. You can get it at badasscounseling.com. There's a workbook that goes with it if you want the workbook that has even more added content, but you can't get just the workbook because that's just the journaling questions and stuff. It's also available in French, Spanish, German, Swedish, everything else. At least those 4 languages. All right, I'm going to take one more question, and then we're going to call it a day, folks. And what a lovely day it has been. Guys, you have to leave out the psychological jargon, all right? Dismissive, avoidance, CPD, all that stuff. You have to leave that out, okay? I'm not a psychologist. And plus, it's just so loaded with so many different meanings for so many people, all right? Leave that out and just put it in plain English, and I'm happy to take your questions. Okay.
We have dismissive avoidance of psychological jargon, don't we?
Yeah. I think that may be true. Okay.
I'm sorry. Was that insensitive of me?
I don't know what that was. I'll just take this one quickly, then we'll go on to one more. This is just a quickie. Janet Cockrum says, I raised my brother and sister. The twins had 2 children and raised my 2 grandchildren. I held a grudge for many years till I realized God put me there for these kids. Yeah, God may have put you there for that period of time, but the question is, what's the next thing that God put you here for? There's always something new. We're always being called in new directions with our lives. All right. Here we go. This is an interesting one. This is from Eric on Facebook. Eric asked the question, and I'm going to freeze it there. Do you have tips for dealing with parental alienation after divorce? Since the divorce, my ex openly villainizes my actions to my young children. Ooh, not good. It feels super harmful to my children and puts adult burdens on them. I'm getting them into counseling. What else should I do? What are some age-appropriate things I can say to help my under 10 kids? All right. I literally lived through this exact thing myself, all right, as one of the parents. And so I know exactly what you're going through, okay? And it's terrible. It's awful. And it's terrible hard for the kids. When we were going through the divorce, I remember the therapist that we had used prior to the divorce said, if you go through a divorce, do not disparage the other parent. It is so hard on the kids. And so I never did. The problem is that really only works if both parents are doing it. And so even all the years that she was doing it, I never disparaged her back. And as a result, but I made one other critical mistake. Not disparaging her back was the right decision. But the critical mistake I made was I didn't stand up for myself. I didn't set straight. So they had these things they were being told by their mother, and I didn't give the counter message of what the truth was. Okay? And so because they're getting a message from their mother, they believe that must be true. They're not hearing a counter message. And a part of you feels bad. Oh, I don't want to confuse my kids. You have to. You have every right to stand up for, Eric, in this case, you have every right to stand up for yourself and tell the children what the truth is about you. You don't have to disparage her. All right. But you have every right to stand up for yourself, and you have to deconstruct every lie that she is telling about you. Otherwise, your children will believe it, and it will impact your relationship with them for a very long time. I have lived that. Now, my children and I, we have reconciled, and I have a wonderful relationship with both my children and their wives. Okay. Wonderful. But you have every right. You need to stand up to every single one of those lies. And you need to stand up when those lies are spreading into your side of the family as well, so that your children have a cocoon on your side of the family of people who all know, understand, acknowledge that you are a good father. I'm glad you have your children in counseling. It's very essential. So they have someone to talk to, because they may feel bad. They already feel bad talking about mom and dad, but they may feel bad talking to mom about you, or talking to you about mom, or talking to you about what they're mad at you for. They certainly probably can't talk to mom about what they're mad at her for or feel sad about. But the best thing you can do long-term, other than standing up for yourself, the best thing you can do for them, honestly, other than, just love them, give them lots of hugs and so forth, turn yourself into a good listener, Eric. And the way you'll best be able to do that, Eric, heal your own past. Heal your own childhood. Nothing will transform your parenting. I don't care what age your kids are, whether your kids are 35 or 15 or 5. Nothing will transform your parenting like heal your own past. Why? Because you begin to slow down. Because that past is infusing, infecting, or outright driving every decision you make. You're not hearing your kids. You're not seeing your kids. You're not fully understanding your kids. And you'll begin to ask questions more. You'll begin to be present to them more. You're talking in statements less. You're fixing less. You're hearing more. Eric, just do yourself a favor. Get the book. There's a Hole in My Love Cup. But you must stand up and give your kids a counter message so that they are hearing the truth about you, not her lies. All right, folks. A lot of good questions. A lot of questions on parents and kids today.
Your speciality.
Well, my super something. I'm not sure. But thank you for saying so. Thank you to everyone who wrote in the questions today. Some good ones, some hard ones, some new insights. And I actually really appreciate it because there are always new angles and new lilts that make me learn and think and get new insights, which is really helpful for me in my practice. I'm always getting new things. I just had one yesterday, and this insight about realizing that haters or bullies bully for the same reason that mooches mooch. It just hit me in the middle of session yesterday, and I'm like furiously scribbling on Post-its. I have them on my lamp, on my desk, on my computer, and so those become the little videos I do on social media. And so the video that I posted today, I actually taped yesterday right after a session or in between sessions or whatever it was. And so I'm always learning from you guys. Truly, I'm always getting, or I'll have somebody give something say something in a new way, or give a new insight, or have a problem, a slight twist on a problem I've maybe dealt with 1,000 times, but they've got a slight twist on it. I'm like, oh wow, that's good. Wow. So I love it. So thank you guys for educating me, for challenging me. I love it being in the hot seat like this. It's super duper fantastic. So I hope the sun is shining where you are. The sun is shining where I am, which always puts a little kick in my step. And I'm going to go listen to some Mozart today. Rob, what are you going to do with the rest of your day?
I'm planning on having a nice walk with my girlfriend and making some dinner together, and that makes me very happy. Yeah, that's right.
Rob's got a girlfriend.
You can go on as long as you like. I enjoy it. And by the way, Sven, on a serious note, we don't mean to make light of people that express their issues with psychological jargon. It's just that's not what you do.
Oh yeah, for sure.
As a former pastor, you are just counseling people on healing their soul.
Absolutely.
It's a different approach. And I just want to make sure we're clear about that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm in no way disparaging psychology. I'm a big fan of psychology. I have clients who are psychiatrists, many clients who are psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists, social workers, mental health professionals. I am a big fan of them, but I am in my lane there, and their lane. They don't go into the realm of soul and spirituality, I hope, if they're not trained, because it is a different world, and I definitely don't go into the world of psychology. That's why I tell people, please don't include that jargon. It's not because I don't respect it or see value in it. I see immense value in it. My whole team does. We've all had therapists or have therapists presently, so no, there's immense value. We just we stay in our lane here on this show out of respect. All right. And that's why you will never hear farming advice, computer advice, or advice on pretty much anything else, because I'm an idiot. All right, people. Thank you so much for tuning into this show. On behalf of my team, KC in the booth, Rob the Rocket next to me, slay your demons and have a kick-ass motherfucking day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.